If you're like me, and you got no life and there's nowhere to go, then tune in to the Animation Truman Show. You'll be glad you did.
Sorry, friends, forgot to turn on my microphone. So we're not actually working in Creta tonight. We're in Tahoma, and going to be doing a little bit of lip sync. So, don't know how long I'll be live streaming, but I figured as long as I'm going to get a little bit of work done, we'll just go live for a bit. Notably, the webisode 2, episode 2 of Salt and Light, I was able to get that released today, so happy to say that's finally out there and live and all that sort of thing. And so, having done that, I figured I just want to jump back in and just get back to doing the work. So, webisode 3, I'm pretty optimistic. This is the shot I'm working on right now. I'm optimistic that episode 3 will not take as long as episode 2 did. Episode 2 took about 6 weeks. And I'd hoped to do it in a month, but there were sufficient number of things I wanted to fix up or improve that I decided to postpone it a bit. And glad I did. But episode 3, most of it looks pretty good. I'm thinking I'll give myself a week or so of just tightening up maybe some of this, some of Asher's drawings. Not so much the characterization, it's just the rendering. And but on balance, this episode's in pretty good shape. So it's going to be mostly a matter of dealing with the voices and soundtrack. So, anyway. This shot I did a couple weeks ago when I was feeling frisky and just felt like doing some animating. And so now we're into this shot where Golik's doing he's got a fairly lengthy bit of dialogue. Dialogue here. He says, "Asher, how long has it been? And to what do we owe this visit?" That's basically what he says. And so, what have we got here? I did notice, for those of you who are Tahoma 2D fans, when I had the shadows turned on, well, I guess I do have the shadows turned on. When I had the overlay turned on, and especially the punched up outlines, because I added another layer that basically lightened up the outlines, because the outlines were, if I remember correctly, the outlines were done in Blender, and I believe what I did was I actually did a cleanup operation here in Tahoma to turn the lines into basically a smart raster level, so that the colors could be edited on the fly after the fact. So, if I'm not mistaken, that's what this is. But it doesn't seem to be changing the color, so I don't know. I'm not even going to worry about that right now. But anyway, what I did was I started turning some of these extra layers off, so they'll show up in the render, but it's like not that important that they be shown in real time for me to get the job done. So I decided to just turn them off because of the performance was lagging a bit. So with a sufficiently small number of layers showing, it playback is looking pretty lickety split. So alright, so Asher, how long has it been? Okay, so he says that fairly brisky. How long has it been? And to what do we owe this visit? Okay. Let me double check the dialogue, make sure he doesn't say like to owe the pleasure or something. It is visit. Okay, cool. And I need to start the next line of dialogue probably about here. There's a brief pause. And how long has it been? And right about there, I'd say. Okay, so I'm using a vector level for this. Hey, full chain. Yeah, evening here. How you doing tonight, full chain? I'm doing a vector level on the lip sync so that I can just draw filled shapes. So, now here, I guess we'll stick to, let's stick to anime style lip sync, just because I've kind of said various times that was my game. Now, the thing is, I'm having to draw the shapes anyway, because he's moving around, and this is, you know, it's full frame by frame animation, so there's no getting around having to redraw the voice shapes. But I'll still follow the basic pattern. So it's open mouth, more open mouth, more open mouth, closed mouth. Okay, here, like I said, this is an example of, I have to draw a second frame because he moves, so we're going to wind up with a fairly large number of frames, but whoop-de-doo. So the pattern is open mouth, more open, open, more open, almost closed. That's the pattern which I've observed being kind of a common methodology with anime. Now I'm going to hit the D key and actually just make a duplicate of this one so that I can hit the S key and just move this particular frame. Just woke up waiting for coffee to queue. What time is it in? It's Singapore, right? What time is it there? Gotta get that morning coffee, dude. Absolutely. Okay, B key. So the reason I'm using a vector level, which I often do for lip sync, is because, as I said, I can just draw these shapes. And then this is probably, let me see. What do we hold? Oh, okay, there's a problem right there. Yes, that one I'm not quite happy with. Little too high. And to what do we owe? Okay, yeah, so he says, to what do we owe this visit? All right, so we got this pattern, but the pattern doesn't really, I mean, we really can't use the pattern because we have him in the wrong position. We could make duplicates and like move him around and stuff, but really, you know, it's hardly worth it. So here we're going to the closed mouth, so this is going to be open, B key, and Golik obviously has a pretty big mouth. Metaphorically speaking. So I'm totally guessing here, by the way, in terms of how many shapes I need. I'm going to hit the D key, S key, move this up a bit, and then assume, if I get lucky here, that this can be the almost closed shape. And then this would be like that. And now he's going to say, Okay, so full chain. So, oh, Philippines, that's what I meant. I'm sorry. Yeah, Singapore. Yeah, you're probably right about that. That's funny. Sorry about that. Didn't mean to place you in the wrong part of the world there, buddy. We owe this visit. Okay, this is not bad, actually. I'm going to give one extra frame here. And then I want to make a little sort of a pursed-lipped and then Just basically a sarcastic kind of smile. I don't know that I like what I did right there. Let me try that one again. Actually, I don't think I like that. I think what I'm going to do is have this kind of a constrained, he's basically suffering through this situation kind of thing. So I'm going to hit Control-Shift-R, and I'm actually going to render this and see what we get. I like anime style lip sync. It's easy to look at, and it's not as work intensive as the full Western style stuff. Absolutely. That is for sure. Well, glad to have you here tonight. I released webisode 2 today, so I posted it on the Discord and obviously on the YouTube channel and everything else. So if you want to see the second 4-minute-ish webisode of Salt and Light, it's out. And as I say, I think episode 3 is gonna come together quicker. If I had to guess right now, I'd probably say 3 weeks, but we'll see. Yeah, sure. How long has it been? And to what do we owe this visit? Ooh, that did not work. Okay, so let's kind of push this over here so it's... And to what do we owe this visit? Okay, yeah. So I think this didn't work at all. So I'm just going to take these 2 frames and delete them. And this is... So I think we could probably smack this down here so it just goes... Actually, you know what? I think I had forgotten this, but when I did this scene originally, this shot needs to be deleted. This isn't even supposed to be in the show, actually. It really didn't help the scene at all. I'm just going to delete those and re-render it. I'm pretty sure that's correct. I seem to remember that. Check out episode 2 later. I know eventually want to do a full stream about full animated lip sync. Yeah, I mean, I know how to do all the phonemes and everything, but I don't know. It's kind of you could call it an economic decision, to just... I don't know that it actually saves that much time doing it the anime way, frankly. Because it's not really... If you're having to draw the pictures, you're just drawing them pretty quick, right? So it wouldn't be that hard to do proper phonemes. But the other thing about it is, if you can assume it's going to be distributed internationally, you're going to wind up having to translate it anyway. So you might as well use some form of lip sync that allows it to work in multiple languages, right? So, sure. How long has it been? And to what do we owe this visit? Ooh, there we have a problem. Okay, so our first little editing issue for the day. All right, so let's just move these guys downstream. And this is going to have to be reinserted into the show. So this is, what was this? This is scene number 152B. We're going to delete that, clean it out of the media pool, and then go here, go to our project media, and we need to import scene 152B, because whatever I had in the show did not have all of the frames imported. And there's really no way to change the length of a sequence after the fact in Vegas. So there's that. This is 152B, so we'll slide this down here. Boom. Pop that in. And the first thing we want to do is change the resampling. Turn off the resampling, I should say. Sure. How long has it been? To what do we owe this visit? Okay, that kind of sort of worked. Hey, Max Power, how come for the mouth animation you don't allow their tongue and teeth? Is it your style? Well, again, that's a fair question. I mean, it's... How do I answer that? I think that I tried to arrive at a style that accommodated the volume of work I had to do. So you sort of adopt an aesthetic that is suitable to the scope of the project. And, that's pretty much my excuse. is it's faster to just do this really basic type of lip sync. That's really all it is. I do find it a little strange that why does the lighting change right there? That's weird. Right before his eyebrows go up. That's strange. Let's jump back to Tahoma. So yeah, it just allows me to use either in Krita just use the freehand path tool, or in Tahoma use a vector level to just draw a shape. And you know, if you wanted to take the time, you could certainly go in and every time the mouth is a little bit open, like you know that or whatever, go in and add an additional shape to sort of hint the teeth or the tongue or whatever. You know, there's nothing wrong with that, and I wouldn't even call it my style. It's just a matter of you're trying to crank out so much animation, so you sort of adopt an aesthetic that, you know, doesn't break the bank as far as, you know, the time you have to spend or whatever. So, you know, it's again, as I say, it really is just an excuse because, you know, you're kind of saying, well, we're hoping that you know, you can tell me if you agree, but you know, if you go and look at webisode 1 and 2 now, 2 being out, my hope would be that the overall feeling of the characterization, the voices, the music, everything working together makes it work. You know, it just kind of works. So there's certain areas where you economize versus being real super meticulous. And I would say lip sync is definitely one of those areas for this particular show. But I am a little weirded out by that. I'm gonna have to cache the frames. I'm gonna have to let this play so I can get the rendered frames so I can see what's going on. Right there it is. Okay. That, I gotta tell you, that looks like a bug to me. Because what it looks like is happening, now I'm just guessing here at this point, but what looks like it's happening is I stretch the background down to here, and this is quite significant actually. When it switches from the background to the implicit hold frames, the color changes, which is really not cool actually. That's kind of a bad thing. I'm not quite sure what to think about that one. Let's see if it now changes. Okay, it still changes, so that means that's not the problem. Okay, so fine. We'll, just to be safe and keep things clean, we'll stretch that down to there. But what the heck is going on right there? Could be these guys. Could be this, but the implicit hold is on. So and this is, you know, it's turned off in the fast preview, but it's in the render, so this overlay should be having its effect as well. It's a little strange. Okay, what do we got here? Sorry guys, I'm not paying attention. Turns out I had an audio filter on Streamlabs OBS. Turned it off and it's not as choppy anymore in a test. Okay, well yeah, any post-production filters, you know, like what Darren does with his green screen stuff sometimes and whatnot, is definitely going to tax your computer. I don't use too much of that stuff, although I will say, if you got a reasonably good computer, the real-time effects in OBS are pretty performant effects. But if you're having to do it on a, you know, sort of a junky old laptop or something, you really don't want to be fighting with that. Okay, and so it's very kind of strange here. What actually is not, what's turned off is the plastic tool. So let's stretch this down too, just to kind of see what happens. I'm probably missing something obvious here. Is there an animation keyframe having something to do with some sort of color correction that I've forgotten about? So it's kicking in on frame 53. That's a bit weird. That's a weird one, friends. Yes, 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 it is. Let's look at the schematic, see what's going on over there. We'll probably go to the effects schematic. Spread things out a bit. Let's see. Curves. Well, there's the curves tool. Okay, so that might be a clue. Column 2. Well, that's the old. We actually use that for color keys. So this level can be deleted out of the show, which, by the way, it wouldn't be the worst idea ever to go to the scene cast and remove all unused levels just to keep things clean and then resave my work. But what that means is there are no effects. Well, we've got the overlay, but the overlay is throughout the whole scene. Okay, so this is what I would do. If it's possible that there is an animation keyframe in here somewhere, this would be a way to find out. First of all, we can go like this, scan through the frames and see if anything changes on the level of it. It does not appear to me that there are any animation keyframes in the overlay effect. So, there's nothing in the effects. If anybody notices something obvious here that I'm missing, please point it out. But I do not see a good reason why the lighting should be changing on frame 53. His shadow, it's not even a frame where the shadow changes or something like that. I mean, that wouldn't change the overall color, but, I mean, come on. That's kind of weird. So let's do this. Let's file, save all, let it save, and I'm going to reopen Tahoma. It could be just some sort of buffer bug that will correct itself. You know, Tahoma's pretty forgiving. So while that reloads, I'll look at the comments here. How come for the mouth hand? Oh, you already edited that. So much more work, tongue in teeth. Definitely. Trying to save time. 2 more clicks of coloring per drawing. Yeah, for sure. No, I'm with you, Full Chain. I ink and paint, but mostly paint is the part I definitely find the most, just not that fun. I mean, I could see that with you, especially because you're a guy who clearly enjoys. It's the pencil test is really the fun part, right? So, I mean, I get that for sure. Okay, let's see what this frame looks like, and then we'll just toggle through a couple here. Yep, I think it was. It was a bug. Just one of those bugs, and then as I say, fortunately, Tahoma's pretty forgiving. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to re-render it and see if it's actually just magically fixed itself, because I suspect it has. Okay, got to be economical when you're doing a show alone for sure. 800 people in Snipple Animation doing 8 different shows, roughly 100 manpower, 24-minute episodes. Man, what do you know? I really am curious about the business from boots on the ground who really know. Do you know what their basic working budget was in American dollars for a 24-minute episode? Like, just generally, what's the kind of the range that they would be charging, or whatever was the stated budget to be able to crank out, a 24-minute episode of a show? Very curious, because it's hard to find actually good, credible information about that kind of stuff, and people do wonder sometimes. Okay, so I'll wait for you, see if I can get an answer on that. Hey, Maria. Okay, so let's see if this looks right now. I guess I'll just put this in preview mode on the big screen. How long has it been? And to what do we owe this visit? That worked. So yeah, Tahoma fixed itself. It was just a buffer bug. Hey, Blifton. Just a buffer bug. So frankly, this shot basically is done. And we may come back and tweak something. It must be said, however, honestly, we got a little situation here where we have a fairly large number of dependencies in terms of each of the levels. So it would probably be prudent. We actually have we got about a 1 pixel error here at the bottom. So I think the prudent thing to do would be go to the camera and let's just hit the animate tool. And I'm thinking, I mean, we could deal with it in the Z dimension. Let's switch to the 3D view. I mean, I guess we don't need to switch to the 3D view, but what I want to do is I want to hit Control, so I'm moving in the Z, and I just want to move it in a little bit. Yeah, that's all. I just wanted to get it so that, because I could see a pixel line here at the bottom. So we'll go ahead and render it out, and then I think we're done with this shot. The working groups mean you don't know about the total amounts for the show budgets. Okay, well that's fair. If you don't know, you don't know. Playing around with the rain particles effect in Tahoma. Having fun. Yeah, the particles are pretty good. They're actually pretty powerful because you can take a level that's got a little animated sequence in it and actually assign, I'm pretty sure, the sequence to particles. And so yeah, Blifton for sure. What you do is you go into the schematic. I've used it for, like especially simple stuff like rain or snow. It's pretty performant too. It's pretty cool to get, or pretty fast to get something set up. But all you have to do is just go into your effects, and then down here, is it under render? Yeah, under render, you got a bunch of they all use the same basic system under the hood. So I don't know if some of them are using just a real fundamental, particle that it draws, as opposed to using content that's on a level as the source of the particles. I think most of them use some sort of, well, I shouldn't say too much here, because actually the ones like clouds, bubbles, falling leaves, falling snow, I'm hesitant to start messing around with it too much with a scene that I'm ready to close and be done working with. But definitely check it out. The basic concept. Okay, see, so it added it separately, so that's cool. So that means that what should happen is when it renders, we should start seeing particles appearing. And let me move that up to the other screen. But then the texture input, lets you assign a level, or an image or something that actually serves as the source of the particles. It looks like bubbles was a bad pick because I'm not going to get to see much here. So I'm going to change it. I'm on the other screen. I'm just doing replace effects. Particles. Let's see what smoke does. And by the way, generally they don't render super fast, but it's not like horrible. So you can see the particles there. But yeah, so play around with it though. There's actually quite a variety of particles. I think the main difference between the different particle effects is the dynamics that are baked into them. So they're all basically doing the same thing, which is just, it's real garden variety particle effects, right? So I think the main difference between them is what the pre-baked dynamic algorithm is. Is it are the particles tending to fall, or are they tending to rise, that sort of thing. And that's really what makes the difference between smoke and bubbles and rain and snow and all the rest. So anywho, let's close up this one, and then we'll jump over to Vegas and see what the next shot would be that we're going to be taking a peek at here. Yeah, decent particle systems. I mean, it's nowhere near Blender on any level in terms of performance or power or flexibility. But if you want, just that middle of the road capability that works pretty darn well most of the time, then Tahoma really does have it covered pretty much. Alright, what's going on here in the script? You can animate the particles options through time. What you say? Yeah, right. I think that's the other difference in the different particle things is if you double click it and start looking at all the parameters, some of them are give you more of a deep dive and some of them are more simple. But again, I haven't used them a lot, so but when I have, they work for sure. Okay, so the question really here with Asher is, do we want to do something with... I want to look at his dialogue. Oh yeah, so Asher says,
It's always a pleasure to stand in the presence of the king.
he's tweaking Golek.
But now that you mention it,
Here we go. So he knows Asher's going to make one of his little prophetic proclamations, which indeed Asher does. Okay, this shot I just did a couple weeks ago, last week or something. Punched up the animation a little bit into Homa. Yeah, that's right. Golek says, "You help the people in your way," which we greatly appreciate. "And the king helps the people in his way." Alright, there's one thing there that I don't remember. No, I guess that's right. That's it. Okay. So, big proclamation thing. Okay, and then Golek's losing his cool. It's not horrible. This was probably done in Blender. This looks like it was done in Blender where I just drew the color shapes. And then at the end, you've got a grease pencil layer that's just a bunch of solid colors. And then you just duplicate the layer and add some thickness. And then tint it black. And then that gives you an automatic outline kind of thing. So. Okay, so this would probably be a good one to look at playing around with. Just because it's not the greatest animation I've ever done. What does he say? So they're talking about the king's punitive taxes. So bear with me. I'm looking at the script. Okay. So Asher says,
wealth that is stolen is no wealth at all.
"Stolen? How dare you?" Okay, that's what's going on here. Yes. "Stolen? How dare you? You will leave now and return to the court at your peril." I'm not doing Golek's voice right now because I'm thinking about too many things at once. But I honestly, it's really not too. I don't think I'm ready to go and redo this one yet today, because it's really not that far off, and I like the flow of it. So I want to think about whether I want to go ahead and punch up that shot or not. So then Asher tweaks Golek even more. Says,
Is this your will, Majesty? Or is Golek truly our king?
which that kind of pisses off the king a little bit. So now he's bristling. He's been pretty amenable to Asher's presence, but now Asher kind of stepped over the line, actually, is what happened there. So, anyway, so he winds up getting dismissed, and the king tells him he's got to split until the rains come. And that makes Golek happy. Now, this part is kind of interesting, because Golek is hatching the plot to marry off the prince. And I would say this is where it falls apart for me, just because I just don't really like... Well, his characterization's wrong. You know, we kind of got it right through here, and then I got a whole sequence of shots that use this same, basically one drawing, actually, of this Spiegel. That's probably going to have to be fixed. So now I wonder Thinking out loud here, people. I'm wondering if... Hey, Tom doing art. Oh, Mikhail's here. Hey, Mikhail. Haven't seen you in a while. You were again surprised how well the music selection fits with the actions. Evidence of organic connection between motion and music. You talking about your... oh, you're talking about the deer and the kitty one, right? And I think it's kind of cool what you've been doing there, where you're taking these little music pieces and kind of, you know, turning them into something interesting. So, where the heck is this? This is probably Krita. I'm hoping it's Tahoma, but I'm betting it's not. So let's go to 182 and see what happens. .tnz. Don't know how long I'm going tonight, by the way, you guys. I'm just kind of, you know, I got webisode 2 released. I was kind of glad, but it kind of like, I don't know. I just felt like, you know what? Now I want to just jump right back into it, you know. Okay, so what we have here is we have a single drawing, and the angle, I believe this is just a raster drawing. Yeah, it is. And so this is kind of an interesting little state of affairs, because yeah, I did a fairly complex rig on him in order to make this all work. Okay, let's put this back in animate mode. It's pretty good example actually of what you want to do if you're going to do a rig and make it work in Tahoma. You want to have these these nodes that come out and tee off in order to protect areas of the mesh so that they don't deform in an unpredictable way. This one worked pretty darn well actually. The thing I'm not loving about it so much is the basic orientation of his body. But I mean, I see what I was trying to do at the time. I was basically, you know, he's just looking to his left, you know, so he's got his, kind of has his head cranked around. So the main problem with that, I suppose, look at this. Sorry, I clicked the wrong thing. Probably somebody's noticing that his mouth is kind of out of whack. We need to actually turn this off because that's not supposed to be on right there. Anyway. So, believe it or not, the only thing that's really, really bugging me has to do with his nose. His nose is not right, and this is unfortunate. You know what? I shouldn't even be doing this here. I should be doing this in Krita. So, okay, so what we have is we got a little issue where what I want to do is I think I'm gonna stick with the body structure for now. So the basic problem has to do with if you sort of draw a line through his head, there's some things in his face that are clearly not balanced right. And I should be able to fix those very easily with the liquefy tool in Krita and just save the image and then reload it, and everything will be just a little bit improved. Now, if we look at we might have to regenerate the mesh. Okay. But probably not, because everything I'm going to change is really inside the mesh, so it shouldn't really matter. So let's give it a crack, shall we? What I'm going to do is go into my extras folder. I suspect it's in here somewhere. So I'm looking for the drawing of the Spiegy. And if I can't find it, then I'll have to. It could be that it's in the folder with the yeah, this is a different one. Could be it's in the folder with the scene, so unfortunately, you know, sometimes you have to search for this stuff. So I'm doing it the simple way right now, which is just to scan through and see if I can visually see the picture. And I'm not seeing that particular Vespigi picture. So what I'm going to do is go here. Can I go to the level settings here? I guess I have to go to it here. So level. Level settings. Okay, and this is in extras. It is in extras, and it's a TIFF. OV. Well, okay. It's in the extras folder. And it starts with an O. Oops, I guess using the O key doesn't quite work here in my image browser. So I'm looking in, there's N. I'm probably looking straight at it and not seeing it. It was OV. What the heck? Where are you? Ah, there he is. Okay, so what I'm going to do is take this picture, drag it into Krita, just because for what I'm trying to do, the best solution would be to use the liquify tool. So we'll just make it work. A key, liquify. Okay, so let's just look at what we have here. First thing I'm going to do is pull that up. And maybe pull this one down, and probably flipping the canvas wouldn't be the worst idea. But this is what's kind of really bugging me. And unfortunately, liquify is not like the most performant I've ever seen. I just feel like the tip of that nose is just a little too far. Yeah, it's a pretty subtle change. Down here, you know, I don't mind the sort of sketchy character of it or anything. I mean, that's okay. But I do want it to kind of look like it's not lopsided. That's not too bad. Okay, and then up here, I don't have a lot of latitude for this one, but I think I can push that out a little bit. And then it's probably the outer edge is going to get sort of cut off by the, basically cropped by the liquify, or not the liquify, the plastic tool. So, okay, oh, I'm sorry guys, I apologize, I do that all the time. Yeah, so that's like at least 5 minutes of showing you guys the wrong thing. That's so bad. Jeez. So stupid. I don't know why anybody sticks around here. You know, I don't even know why anybody bothers. It's like, this guy, Dave, he's an idiot. The man is a fool, I say. Okay, I'm going to save this, and hopefully the following step will work. Now, I can't say save all, by the way. If I save all, it's going to take the drawing that I'm working on in Krita right now and actually save it over with the one that Tahoma has in memory. So when you do this and you're editing an image externally like that, you want to just save the scene. You don't want to save all. Otherwise, you're going to be crying like a baby. Okay, and now what we'll do is reopen it. Ah, and that's what I was afraid of. Darn it. Stupid, stupid, stupid Krita. Really? I can't believe you just did that to me, Krita. Okay, so Krita got the... that's easy to fix, though. But yeah, Krita botched the... let me see this. If I go save, and of course because I need to change something. There, I changed one thing. All right. So if I hit Control S, store the alpha channel. Flatten the image. We don't want to flatten the image. Well, that shouldn't matter though. Actually, that should not matter a bit. But we'll try it anyway. What the heck? We'll see if that made a difference. I don't think it will. But what we're probably gonna have to do is actually get rid of the black using a filter, and then possibly actually replace the TIFF with a ping, because I've seen this happen before. So sorry. Yeah, same problem. So it's basically stupidity incarnate, which is that it really isn't going to deal with the alpha channel correctly. So let's go back to this, and I'm gonna go ahead and assume that it's actually dealing with the alpha channel correctly, but it's getting confused because what actually went wrong was it opened it incorrectly. So what do? Well, let's go to filter, colors. Let's do color to alpha, and we're going to use black. Oh boy, this might be more difficult than one would hope. Nope, actually it's not. It's going to be easier than one would hope. So that's good. Looks like we got lucky, friends. So there we go. Problem solved, I am pretty sure. Go like that. Let's see. I'll bet you that worked. Yep. Well, did it? Yeah, I guess it did. Yes, it did. Great. Cool. He's still got a pretty aggressive outline around him, I must admit. That's pretty dark. But, you know, what are you going to do? We can address it this way. This is what I would do. I've been in situations like this. Sometimes it's where the software has issues with pre-multiplying and things like that. But yes, so Tom, that's pretty much what I'm going to do. I'm going to use the magic wand right now to grab the perimeter. And now if we look at the fuzziness is set to 21. Grow or shrink selection, probably we want to set it to like 1 pixel. And then the feathering radius of 2. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to do it this way. I'm going to do it kind of the way I would do it if I was working on a movie and I'm dealing with a really tricky green screen situation or something. Okay, so what I'm going to actually do is blur it, probably about 5 pixels I would say, and then apply the curves tool to the alpha channel. That way I can really control it, and I want to actually turn off the selection now. And of course I always reserve the right to have this go badly and not work. But what should happen is now by clamping the alpha channel, I can, see what I mean? I got total control. So the idea is to blur the edges and then deal with bringing back in the contrast, right? So you really have total control. Quite nice. Okay. So now the question is, and I'm going to reset that actually and just try to do it as simply as possible. Because if it's a little fuzzy, that's okay. You're not going to see that. If I hit the N key, it's probably a little too fuzzy, but I'll just keep bringing that in. Let me do it this way, actually. We're just playing. Yeah, I'm going to actually bring it in like that. That's probably pretty good. Let's save it and see how it looks. You know, what you don't want to do is get into a bunch of hand painting and stuff like that for something this stupid. And let's see what we have. Nah, it's not too bad. That's not too bad. That looks pretty good, actually. Okay. Cool beans. I'm going to take a moment here and look at the... Hey, Amar's here. Hey, Amar. Hey, BlendedPlanet, congrats on publishing the next episode. Thank you, sir. Yeah, I've been working pretty hard on it the last couple of days trying to get it all you know, fix all the mistakes and get it out. So there you go. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and render this shot so I can look at what it's looking like in the show. This is 182. I will not switch screens. I'll just have it in full screen preview mode. Okay, probably that shot. I'll think about what goes on here in the dialogue. And I definitely do not like the lip sync here is not really acceptable. It's a little, the mouth shapes are a little stupid looking. It's a little too, you can tell it was rushed. So, but that's okay for the moment. We're gonna keep cruising through. Okay, I see what I did. Well, it definitely will make sense to really dial in this drawing of Vespigi for the simple reason that it looks like all of these shots through this sequence are in fact 182. I actually reused the same shot quite a few times through this sequence. It's all just dialogue, you know. Here's 187 again. Obviously repetitive, although I think if you're watching the show and hearing the dialogue and everything, you wouldn't think about it. Okay, that color correction's a little aggressive, unfortunately. Very unfortunately, since I used the same color correction on a bunch of shots. Okay, this is where everything kind of starts to fall apart because Tobias, I just didn't really do a very careful job on Tobias. This was done quite a long time ago. I like the drawing, but man, on the close-up, I really got, and by the way, that's Vespigi with a V, not Respigi with an R. But thank you for saying that, Maria, because I've really kind of agonized over this particular drawing, whether it's, you know, sort of up to scratch. What I have found is when I'm using drawings that have, as you can see here, just a little more sensitive, you know, almost more like a pencil drawing kind of thing that's been cleaned up look, especially in the eyes, it just does tend to look better, you know, so whatever. Here with Tobias, these are some pretty strong lines, and his eyes definitely look kind of silly. So this is 184C. But out of the gate, this could probably be done quite surgically. This could be fixed up quite surgically. So let's go to 184C and just get busy. So I'm going to close the TIFF. And let's go to scenes. And this would be minus 184, of which you can see there's a trillion 184 scenes. Now I will say, this is interesting, the files, the animation has an underscore in the file name. Yeah, this is the storyboard. If there's an underscore in the file name, then that tells me this was done in Blender. But it must have been a still drawing. So I hope this isn't too boring for you guys watching me figure out what the heck I did many months ago. But my suspicion here is that there must be some static drawings of Tobias that wound up, yep, there it is. Okay, so this is good news. This is actually very good news because it means that I can fix or sculpt or punch up these four drawings probably all the same way, and it was probably all assembled in Blender. So I will almost guarantee you that this is Blender 2.79, and I'm going to go ahead and open up Blender and see about shot number 184C, because it also could turn out that the issues I'm seeing on Tobias's anatomy could maybe be fixed with shape keys. So we'll just see. So we're going to 184, was it? Yes, 184. And then we have a 184C. There's the blend file. Oh, that was Blender 2.81 apparently. So spank me and call me a silly goose. So there it is. Spank me and call me a fool. Okay, Blender, how come you're not running there, buddy? Don't be letting me down, friend. There it goes. Isn't this fun? This is so fun. No, it looks to me like episode 3 is going to be able to be. I'll eat my words later. It might happen, but I'm pretty sure from what I can see, the next 4 minutes of the show are going to be able to be, punched up and ready to. Most of the work over the next few weeks is probably going to wind up being on the soundtrack. So, might have to go hitting up. What? Buy a newer Blender binary? Expect loss of data. What are you talking about, man? Okay, this could be problematic. I must have opened this in like 293. I don't remember doing that. Wow. Okay, that's scary. But hey, we're not going to get scared, are we? We're just going to see what we've done to ourselves to make our lives increasingly difficult. Once again, Blender 2.93, long-term support. Okay, so there it is. Sorry to make everybody wait. But, what are you going to do? So 184C, we're going to try one more time here. If this doesn't work, we may be, well, if we're in the worst case scenario situation where something's got to be recreated kind of from scratch or whatever, that would not be the worst thing that could happen, actually. Okay, there it is, yeah. So I can't believe I did this in 2.93. So there they are, and it looks terrible. Let's go into rendered mode. I am not loving what I'm seeing here at all. This is not making sense. Especially because if I look at the Blender render, there's a bunch of stuff that doesn't look right. It looks kind of like the same scene, but there's definitely some things that are different. First and foremost, actually, look at the background painting. Look at, especially on the close-up. See the background painting, the nice little cracks in the walls and stuff? So I may have a little bit of a problem here where I have to figure out what the heck I did. Maybe it switches. And here we're not seeing it switch. Background painting. So this is yet another embarrassing situation where I clearly have horrible, just inexcusable work habits that have caused me to not be as organized as I should be. So there's only really 3 possibilities here. One would be that this migrated over to Tahoma. This is like the worst. Like, there it is. Well, wait a second. There's 180. There it is, guys. Duh. Okay. Now things are starting to make sense around here. Okay. This makes a little more sense. So I'll bet you here the background image changes. Yep, there it is. So, okay. Hello, Inio-san. Okay, so now, I'm kind of glad it worked out this way. Let me double check my render settings. I bet you they're correct. Yep. Okay, so this is very good news because it means all we have to do is fix this individual drawing of Tobias. And the original is not horrible. It's a little coarse, for sure. I mean, I don't think anybody's going to dispute me on that point. But let's look at... okay, it looks to me like this is probably full HD as well. Which is kind of... pretty sure. Let's go take a look here, friends. At the camera settings. Yes,
There's the problem.
so this is full HD, which means it's going to show up even a little bit more coarse. So yeah, we kind of have an interesting opportunity here to fix this up. So you guys can talk among yourselves while I figure out how to save myself from myself. I'm not sure what I did here. Is this? I don't think this is a smart raster level, right? Pretty sure. So, given that that's the case, let's just fix Tobias up the old school way. I'm going to hit my, I've got a pencil going here. And I am just going to, I'm just going to do a little fixing up, just soften him up a little bit. Let's just make Tobias look good, okay? That's always a worthy goal on a Saturday night. We've got nothing better to do. You know, son, it was a busy day, but I finally got to practice a little bit of anatomy, or practice, I should say. Yeah, can't ever really improve too much on your drawing, that's for sure. R key in Tahoma if you want to just sample a color. For those who didn't know. Boom. So yeah, I mean, I like the character of Tobias, and I really actually like his characterization pretty well. It's just that the actual execution here on the drawing is just a little bit sloppy. So I'm just gonna take my pencil and fix it up the old-fashioned way. Just soften these lines a little bit. So this probably could just be hit the N key. Not quite sure what to say about this. You know, if I change this too much, then he starts to become a little different character, right? So I got to be careful how far we go here. It's a judgment. You know, it's a judgment call. It's always a judgment call. This I'm not thrilled with. So, divided your day between prepping for our live production this weekend and work on my Equinox animation project. Always more to do. Am I right? Always more to do. Okay, and obviously this could be fixed up a bit. Right here, stuff like this, it's like, I think this originally was a, it was either an OpenTunes or Tahoma Smart Raster level originally. I don't remember that well, but I think it kind of evolved its way into becoming a plain old raster thing because I probably wanted to do some painting into it or something. Sometimes I'll use this brush. It's a little more aggressive brush, but it lets you get coverage a little better. So, Tobias. Oh, now I better be careful. Don't want to start changing things too much here. Tobias is an interesting character. He's a very minor character that just shows up really briefly, but later on in the show he becomes kind of important. I guess you could relate him to the role that Uncle Iroh had in Avatar, as far as his relationship to Zuko, in the sense that he kind of is the voice of common sense and conscience at times. So later in this series, Tobias becomes a fairly important character, but at this point he's just minor. I will say, for those who, if you have any doubts, you can be sure that there definitely is a long-term vision, you know, for the arc of the story and all these characters. I wish I could crank it out faster, you know, because the animation's okay, the characters are drawn okay, but the actual story, I say with great confidence, that will unfold over 12 episodes is really a cool story. It's actually a super cool story with some very interesting twists. But that unfortunately will take some time to unfold. Alright, I'll just sample that color there and see if I can just kind of, I wonder if I can, yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, that's what really floats my boat anyway. I mean, animation's great, but it's fun to do, but it still, for me, is just a means to an end, in the sense that what I really care about is the story. When I think about animation and what's fun and cool about it to me, I think about when I was, you know, when my older son was, you know, small, and he and I would watch Beast Wars. We would just like binge watch Beast Wars. And then later, my younger son Kyle, you know, he and I would binge watch Avatar. And it really is, for me, about the characters and the story and the emotion, you know, the arc. I like those moments in a show that are heroic, you know. You know, when the guy that you thought was always going to do the wrong thing actually turns out to be a little more interesting character than you thought, and winds up doing the right thing, but maybe sometimes for the wrong reasons. You know, it's just really, that's the part that's cool to me. It's all the storytelling. If you don't really have that, animation on its own to me is actually, it's cool, but it's a bit boring actually, you know. Just seeing things move is not particularly, doesn't do it for me. Doesn't do it for me, people. Netflix, HBO Max, and Disney. Yeah, Texas Chainsaw Man. So that's on Netflix now. Is it a series now? They're turning it into a series, or is it just an updated version, updated movie? It seems to me it was remade at least once, but I don't know. You know, horror, you know, bloodbath films aren't really my bag. Never have been. Okay, what I can do here, I think I've got maybe a little opportunity here to, so this part is a little tricky. I want to get some balance into this character. You know, it's probably the thing I'm sort of struggling with here more than anything, is how much you want to destroy the character in order to fix the character. And it's probably almost always best to destroy as much as you have to make it as awesome as it needs to be. So what I'm seeing here is the fact that his head is lopsided. That's why I'm flipping the canvas. I think he's baked to his background here. Yes. So that means if I want to fix this stuff, I'm actually going to have to paint into him here. Like so. No big deal. No big deal. It's what we do. So I'm feeling just a little bit more hair here to make that come into balance with the, and then this part, and then we will restore the outlines here shortly. But I also want the outlines to be a little more subtle, so I'm going to actually jump to this brush, the old pencil, so I can just get some of those, a little bit more sensitivity into my lines. But this is definitely starting to look better. I'm liking the look of Tobias better now. It's a new movie version. Okay. Yeah, I'm not. I'd be surprised if I was impressed with something like that, but I mean, you can do it. It can be fun, and it's certainly, if you're into filmmaking, it's a cool. Put it this way: if you wanna make a movie on the cheap, what you do is you take 6 or 8 young kids to some abandoned house or something, and chop them up. you know, that's what you do, and then you kind of build a story around that. And I did actually write a. I was actually working on that type of a script one time. I'm trying to think what it was. As I recall, what the gist was these kids get exposed to this plant that is, and there's actually a real plant that's like this. But there's a plant that I can't remember what they call it. I think they call it the suicide plant or something. But the idea is that the toxin, just from contact with this plant, takes a while for the toxin to kick in. But once it kicks in, it causes a person to experience, I shouldn't laugh, it's really not funny, but a person will experience so much excruciating pain that they'll commit suicide because it's so painful, right? And in this script I was working on, I never got much past the plotting stage because there was never really a reason. And I can't even remember now who I was talking about doing it with, where it was going to be like, okay, let's take like a really long weekend and just shoot like a bloodbath movie in a long weekend, right? See, I could get into making a movie like that just for fun, just for the challenge of it. My second movie, Tittabawassee, was sort of like that. We shot it in a 4-day weekend, and on the banks of the Tittabawassee River up in Michigan, in mid-Michigan. Okay, that's not going to work. We don't want to do that. And by the way, I'm going to hit save to just save my work, just so that I don't wind up losing stuff if Tahoma decides to be stupid. Okay, R key. What time is it? 9:15? I'm going to have to get Zuko to bed too soon. This is just to soften the lines. And what is it? Shift Alt R? Yeah. Okay, so now R key. Just sample this color and I can start working a little bit of softness into this. So my ever-loving baby doll, Val, is working on, I think she's working on writing her book right now, so if she shows up, I may bail on you guys and go hang with her for a bit. All right, yeah, here's another problem. Look at this. I mean, come on, this is not balanced. There we go, that's better. That's looking a little better. Good vampire movie when I'm in the mood. Yeah, I don't really do too much of that stuff. Although there was a time when Val and I did watch the, what is it, the Vampire Diaries? I think it is. It's like a live action thing. The one character, I think it's Vampire Diaries. It's pretty stupid, actually. I mean, you got this, what I think is dumb about it is the romance relationship between the one brother and the girl, because based on the way she behaves, and this isn't meant to be a sexist statement, but in the show, based on how the girl behaves, honestly, she's not that much of a prize. So you just wonder why the guy's so obsessed with this relationship with the girl. For anybody that's seen the Vampire Diaries, you know what I'm talking about. The character that's fun and interesting in that show is Damien, because he's like the bad boy who kind of at the end of the day, he's actually the one you can count on. He's kind of like the bad guy who's really kind of a good guy. because he's got a moral compass that makes a little more sense. Whereas the other brother's just an idiot. He's just an idiot who can't, see past his zipper, really, if you know what I mean. So I don't know if anybody out there has seen that show, but Stefan. The other guy's name was Stefan. Stefan was a bonehead. Damien was cool, but Stefan was an idiot. So I'm going to go give him just a little bit of... He needs a little bit of age. He's a young guy, young-ish. He's probably in his maybe 40s or something. He's not too young, but he's not really old either. Okay, well, I guess as long as we're here and we're fixing things, let's fix this too. There's a vampire movie called Let the Right One In. Swedish movie. Huh. Okay. Yep, I hear Val coming. That means I'm signing off, guys. I'm going to go hang with my beautiful baby doll for a bit. Because, frankly, she's more interesting than all of you guys. I'm kidding. Kinda. And I'm about ready to quit anyway. Yeah, it's been over an hour. So, what do you guys think? You about sick of me? Everybody be sure to check out webisode 2 of Salt and Light. It's out there, and, share, tell your friends. I'm hoping maybe we can finally start to get a little bit of momentum on this thing. So be sure to check it out, and as I say, like it, share it, whatever. Unless you think it really, really sucks and you just can't bring yourself to help me out. But if you can, then of course it's greatly appreciated, because, doing my best here to kind of entertain you. So, oh, good. Thank you. I appreciate that. And so with that, I will say nighty night, and hopefully, Full Chain, you'll make it to Singapore one of these days. Just kidding. One more little tweak here, as long as I'm here. You can see how sloppy this was. But there we go. And with that, we will call it a night. And as you guys know, there will